Well, hey everybody, Andy Kvernen here with another Cornerstone Connection daily devotional. Several years ago, I was traveling in a different part of the world, and I was working on a mission trip. I was doing some stuff. We were praying for different people groups, different places, and we were inviting God to move, and we were building some relationships. And one of the relationships that we had built was really exciting. It was a lot of fun to see God sort of work and cultivate, and it felt like this was a person in whom God was working and through whom God might advance his gospel in that part of the world. And so it's just a joy to be there. I loved it. But one of the things that happened on that trip was something that I'll never forget. We were working through stuff, and the guy that we were engaged with, he and I could communicate through Google Translate. We didn't speak the same language, but we were talking. And he asked me something. He actually asked me for something that I couldn't give him, and I wasn't able to do it. And in our culture, we tend to, although Upper Midwest might be a little different, we tend to value direct communication. Excuse me. We tend to value saying, "Hey, I just need to come out and tell you this can't happen, and here's why." In his culture, that's not true, and so I wasn't aware of that when it happened, but it created a lot of awkwardness when I didn't honor his culture. And I came back and I just said, "Look, I'm just going to cut to the chase. I can't do that. I'm sorry, but let's keep talking. Let's keep having a good time, and let's keep engaging." And after that, he was just weird. It was different. Our relationship changed because in his culture, it's a shame honor culture where the more important thing is not to be direct and to communicate with clarity. It's to save face, and it's to show honor. And inadvertently, I didn't mean to, but I dishonored him by being so direct and communicating back with him. I'll never forget that. I felt terrible. I didn't realize I was doing it. The missionary that we were with helped me understand it after the fact. And I realized that certainly God is sovereign over those things, and God can advance his gospel. But I realized it wasn't helpful in the advance of the gospel as I interacted with him in that way. And it reminds me of our Bible reading today in 1 Corinthians 10, where Paul is engaging with the church in Corinth about food that's been sacrificed to idols. Okay, there's quite a controversy, and in this pagan culture, what would happen is people would offer meat and maybe other foods to idols, and then they would serve it at their dinner table. Okay, and so they would offer this meat. It had been sacrificed, and then it would show up in people's homes, and they would eat it. And there was a controversy about whether or not Christians ought to eat this food that had been sacrificed to idols. And at the end of 1 Corinthians 10, Paul says this. He says, "All things are lawful," this is verse 23, "but not all things are helpful. All things are lawful, but not all things build up. Let no one seek his own good, but the good of his neighbor." And so he goes on to say, look, here's the deal. If you serve food, it's okay not to worry about whether it's been sacrificed to idols or not. This food is just food. God created those animals, and God has provided the food. And so where it doesn't create issues, don't make it one. Okay, just hang out and eat the food. But if somebody says, "Look, this is food sacrificed to an idol. What do you think? Are you going to eat it or not?" Then perhaps in your context, it's not a good idea to eat it. In other words, all things are lawful. Not everything is beneficial, because for those people, that food that's been sacrificed to an idol might be detrimental to their understanding of and appreciation for the gospel. And so Paul says at the end of the chapter in verse 31, he says, "So whatever you eat or drink," here's what's important, okay? He says, whatever you do all to the glory of God. Okay, it's not about the specifics, food sacrificed to idols. Sometimes this passage is used in the context of drinking different beverages, adult beverages or whatnot. Paul says, look, whatever you do, make sure you do it all to the glory of God. That's what's most important. And then give no offense, he says in verse 32, to Jews or to Greeks or to the church of God, just as I try to please everyone in everything. Everything I do, not seeking my own advantage, but that of many, that they may be saved. Paul's saying, look, here's what's important. Not so much whether you eat food sacrificed to idols or not, but whether your testimony is compromised by doing it and by your heart attitude. Are you doing this for God's glory, or are you doing it for some other reason? Friends, it's a great check for us. We often run into things where the Bible doesn't say explicitly one thing or another. let's ask ourselves, why am I doing this? Why am I experiencing freedom in this? Or why is maybe the Spirit of God communicating to me that this is not a good idea? Am I doing it all for the glory of God? And am I taking into account the people that I'm trying to serve? Paul was willing to adjust his behavior within reason, within biblical frameworks, right, for the benefit of those he was serving. Are we willing to do the same? I hope you are. I hope this passage helps you to think that through. I hope we have some clarity there. And friends, let's invite God to be glorified through our decisions, and let's invite God to use us to bless others, to help them come to know Him as well through the things that we do, not just the things that we say. God bless you. Have a great day. And Lord willing, we'll see you again soon on the Cornerstone Connection Daily Devotional.